Hello, everybody. Hello, Alan. I'm so excited to be here with you again because this is part 2. And still, I'm positive you should sell T-shirts that say spirituality for the impatient. So you guys can actually find Alan on spiritualityfortheimpatient.com. And we've been working together for about a year now and had an opportunity to get to know each other. And I've just been so impressed with how Alan has been able to look at himself, overcome so much that he has gone through in his life, in this life and in other lives as well. And he's been able to put together this beautiful presentation about demanifesting the ego. And so since this is part 2, we have, I'm going to have you, Alan, take us through a little recap of what we've done. And then we're going to move straight into, after the recap, we're going to start talking about self-acceptance. So yay, I can't wait for this conversation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alen. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Like you're saying, I wish to talk about demanifesting the ego a bit. I thought we talk about self-acceptance, which was like a very big thing that really unlocked a lot of things. And yeah. And I will also feel like maybe we just quickly touch on service to self. Thanks. So first, a bit of a disclaimer. The information presented is for entertainment purposes only. We here are not experts. We here are just like sharing our story. The information is not to be used as advice in any form. You are reading or watching this on the basis of your free will. You are free to leave at any time. Also seek professional help if you need it. This is not it. So yeah, on the agenda, like you said, we'll just do a quick recap. And then I thought maybe we just briefly touch on service to self stuff and service to others, and then talk about self-acceptance. Perfect. So we talk about discernment, because like I was so like in the mental mind and making decisions based on like this heart resonance instead of ratings, reviews, and opinions of others was a bit of a new thing to me. And for me, you make a whole lot of better decisions by just going with your resonance. Does this feel right for me or not? And I was like, and I shared the experience of like picking a facilitator one time with just based upon opinions of others and then picking someone from the resonance level. And it was like a much better choice. So as always, take what resonates and scroll past what doesn't. I would say that there are absolute and relative truths, and don't get caught up in other people's relative truths. And I just love what you shared, is that we each have pieces to offer to each other. So I think that's just beautiful.
Thank you. I just can't, I can't seem to set that comment down, because it's so amazing when we co-create what we bring. What we create together is so much more than what we create by ourselves. So,
oh yeah, and I would say more fulfilling as well.
Yeah, definitely more fulfilling.
And some new realization that I got was just like a couple of, I guess, days ago, is that when we see so many like spiritual teachers out there, and also like authentic spiritual people, like I consider you like an authentic spiritual people.
Thank you.
But I would say that our higher self and God are the only and authentic authority for our spiritual ascension process.
Yes, I cannot agree with that more. And that's one of the things I'd like to stress is don't even listen to me. Like, it's important for you to listen to yourself. I think that good teachers and good heart-centered based people are always going to direct you back to yourself and back to God's source, because those are the only authority, your higher self, which is your higher God self. So thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's one of the most, likely the most important spiritual piece of advice or of resonance is knowing that you are your own answer. You are the key to your own universe, to the God universe. So.
Oh yeah, and I think realizing this is also bringing me some relief. Like, for example, I don't need to go with somebody saying something or something, but just like you're saying, yeah, our higher self and God. So this is awesome. But I think, yeah, we still need like some way showers. It really help us remember, like you would say.
Yes. Yep.
And now just briefly what spirituality is about, explained for the impatient, according to me, at this moment of understanding. Like for me, this is about demanifesting the negative ego, and then demanifesting a whole lot of emotional trauma and miasma. And when we do these things, we allow for our consciousness to expand, to feel more love that's already here. And this is where we get to embody more of our higher self. And we basically repair, activate our organic, angelic human DNA. And I wish to stress out that our human, 3D human aspect, human self, like me, Alen, right here, right now, I'm not going to, let's say, to Sirius B or any other place. Like when we embody more, we get to travel, I guess, yeah, through, not through like physical means, but through our consciousness. So our consciousness gets to expand and it gets to also travel in a sense. So, but our 3D human self is just staying right here. And the best thing that we can do, I think, it's to work on our negative ego and work on our emotional traumas and miasma and do this kind of stuff. Like this is where the game is set for humanity at this time. It's not about like levitating or walking on water, but doing about this stuff. Now, I absolutely love this from Ascension Glossary because I think this really like sums it up where the game is at. Like it says, before learning responsible co-creation and manifesting skills, each individual must first learn how to demanifest undesirable or negative patterns that have been recorded in the cellular memory of their DNA imprint. Activating higher DNA imprints does not happen unless the consciousness is willing to participate and explore the clearing release of previously recorded memories of fear-based thoughts or low-frequency content such as trauma and miasma.
Agreed. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And a piece we all miss. Many of us miss. So.
Oh yeah, I also remember coming, I guess, also to ES and stuff, and I was like, oh, why isn't like Lisa like levitating and walking on water? I was a bit like scratching my mind, my head, but yeah, it doesn't work that way.
No.
I think, yeah, I think we done a lot of levitation and doing this power stuff, maybe in our Atlantean timelines and stuff, but the game right now, it's about demanifesting a whole lot of this, I would say like multidimensional trauma and stuff. This is where the game is at.
Yeah, I love it.
And then we talked about a little bit about unity consciousness. And I really love this example. It's called the Mandelbrot Fractal because right here we can see like this thing. It looks like a one thing. So this is like the ocean. It's like a single thing. And then what we see here on the right would be like individual expressions of this one thing, because all of this is like just explained by like one math equation. So this is actually like the result of like one math equation. And we see here like in a sense, like the unity, and then like the individuated expressions of this unity. So we could also see ourselves like just an individuated expression of this unity. And I linked like the YouTube video. I'll put my slides on my webpage, so you can get the slides and just like click on the links.
I love it. Thank you. It makes me think of when you there's a expression people use when they extract a drop of water out of the ocean, saying, you know, you are the entire ocean. And then so I see these slides as the individual drops from the ocean, or yeah, the individual human. So I could look at this picture forever. It's fascinating to me. Because then my mind goes, my consciousness goes, and I start thinking of so many different things and how even just the individual drop gets broken down into even more fractals. And so my mind just goes, oh, I haven't watched the YouTube video yet, so I'm excited to watch that.
Cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So then I think this quote like pretty much sums it up, like from Albert Einstein. He says that a human being is a spatially and temporally limited piece of the whole, what we call the universe. He experiences himself and his feelings as separate from the rest, an optical illusion of his consciousness. The quest for liberation from this bondage or illusion is the only object of true religion. Not nurturing the illusion, but only overcoming it gives us the attainable measure of inner peace. And I guess even more succinctly, I would say that an individual is an individuated expression of a unified whole. And we can either like believe this or not. And yeah. And now for some new stuff, I felt like adding this in, like service to self versus service to others, because I would just like to point out that there is no shame or guilt wanting your organic and authentic needs to be met. Also, there is no shame or guilt by doing inner work. Also, there is no shame or guilt wanting your boundaries respected. So I think everyone benefits if you are radiating positivity and living a meaningful life.
Thank you. I like that you bring this up as a service to others, because I have found that so many people do feel shame or guilt, or a myriad of other lower vibrating emotions when they actually stand up for themselves. They say they need something or they want something. We've been taught in this world or in this reality that by doing any of that makes you a negative person or makes you a selfish person. And it's, you know, there's no more lines drawn or boundaries made in terms of even protecting your own heart. And we just fall farther and further away from ourselves by creating this false idea of being of service to others by not having any type of boundaries for the self. So I think that that's something that's challenging for many of us to overcome.
Yeah, and I think these negative beliefs also come from our parents and our childhood. Now, I'm not a mental health professional. Seek one if you need it. This is just like a general disclaimer, like not meant like for.
I always say I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
So yeah, the following beliefs examples are copy-pasted with permission from this site, and hopefully you see the site.
Yep.
It's called serenityonlinetherapy.com. It's some guy named Carl is a therapist, and he has this website, and he made a whole lot of videos that I really like. For example, on addiction, on anger, on anxiety, panic, cinema therapy, codependency, communication skills, depression, and so on. And I think they're just great examples of, and I would say, this is what authentic spiritual work is about. It's about dealing with, let's say, addictions. And I think we can do a lot of psychology, but as you see, as you know, we also need to have the multidimensional component of actually seeing how this relates to the contracts we have made, consent, etheric implants, webbing, and so on. So, but we can do, I think, a lot of with psychology. So these here are just the examples from, this is just regular 3D psychology. Like, for example, I must never ask for what I want. That would be selfish or dangerous. Besides, my needs and feelings are bad and or a burden to others. Yeah. Like, for example, this is an example of like a belief system that we might get from our parents. Also, I must never say no. That would be selfish and or mean, and then no one would ever love me. Or for example, even like this, I can make a relationship work all by myself. I can fix other people. I can make them happy. And just like to say, you are not helping anyone with these beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. Not only not helping them, but you're not helping yourself either. Yeah. Wow. And that takes me back. That's a lot of clearing. Those belief structures, they take some time. They take some real good time to break down, especially if they're really stuck into other matrices like the addiction matrix or something like that. When you have these personal beliefs stuck in a multidimensional matrix, this is where the 3D psychology really needs to be applied to understanding that we're multidimensional electromagnetic beings. It's like the key piece that's missing.
Yeah, I know exactly how, what you're talking about also with my dealing with pornography addiction. And I'm just like now uncovering some, I belief system from the childhood. Like, for example, conditional love from parents, that's quite a pattern to unpack. But yeah, we're like eternal beings, so we have all the time in the world to figure this out.
All kinds of it, all kinds of it.
So now the following belief examples are copy pasted again from that site, Serenity Online, therapy.com. It's also linked from the slides, so you can like click on the slides. So all relationships are negotiation. To get my needs met in a relationship, I must be able to identify what they are and ask the other to meet my needs, and I expect the other to do the same. This is how we negotiate, through identifying and communicating needs. My feelings and needs do matter, and so do the needs and feelings of the other. I must be able to say no to behaviors in a relationship that are not acceptable to me, and I expect the other to do the same. Love is obtained through healthy negotiation and sharing, which leads to emotional intimacy. It takes two people to make a healthy relationship. I cannot not fix another. I can only fix myself. I cannot make another happy. I can only make myself happy. And I would say these are the beliefs of someone who is in service to others. I would say service to unity.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I think that I find it with, I think women more, that they think that they can come in and fix their partners. If you're in a, at least I've observed this in a relationship of male-female, and or if one holds more of a male pattern, even if it's same-sex relationships, that there's this I guess I call it an arrogance or a negative ego of, well, I can see the potential of this person, so I'm just going to come in with who I am. It's some kind of like righteousness, right? Like I'm going to come in with who I am and I'm just going to fix it. I'm going to change the way they do this, and I'm going to change the way they do that. And never once, do they take an opportunity to look at themselves and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to change the way I feel about what my partner is doing about with this, or because that's the harder thing to do. It's, it's harder to look at yourself objectively and make those adjustments. Thank you for posting this. It's important for people to actualize.
Yeah, this takes, I would say, like many years, maybe decades, maybe even lifetimes to master. Like we're here to master. In a sense, I would say we here on Earth are like to master practically everything. I don't imagine if on any different planet you could get this amount of lessons to learn in a way. I'm like, when we graduate the Earth School, I'm like, what is there to learn more?
I think it's the top university. If there were universities, I think Earth would be the top university. And you know that you passed when you have integrated polarity, right?
Yeah.
Not
oh yeah. I think I made some quite some progress lately with this.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, and I will share about this in some next slides, also about some polarity anti-pattern that I learned or like integrated. So about this slide, I would just like to mention, I also linked this video, Basic Human Rights for Relationships and Self-Development. It's again from this counselor, Carl. I really like his YouTube channel. I think he made some very nice videos, and I would recommend it.
Thank you.
Now some story time. I remember you shared some story about homeless people, and I think it will like very nicely some disservice to others, service to self. I think there was some person in your community who just like donated some stuff to some homeless people or something, but it didn't turn out the way they planned it will turn out.
No, they were really excited. There was this tent city, being hosted in this community. And so, a tent city, if you guys don't have them, they're places, unfortunately, it's a tent city. And so people say, hey, you can put your tents up here or whatever. And it's interesting because there was a mom that had brought clothes, like bags of clothes that, she felt were really nice clothes, and she wanted to gift these. And, she thought, well, these people are homeless. They don't have anything, or they need more. Perhaps they're not warm enough, whatever her methodology was. And nobody wanted the clothes. They were like, it was like, seen to them like, why do you think that we need this, or why do you think we're even in this situation? And it became this whole, like, she was like, I can't believe they didn't want these clothes. These are nice clothes. I'm being helpful. I'm giving them something they don't have. And, we think about doing something really nice, but what is really nice to us can then be a burden to somebody else. Not only that, it can impede on their free will. So you may be messing up their soul contract by, pushing something on them, or, taking them off the streets and putting them in a home, or, whatever. It's really fascinating what we believe somebody else needs. And instead of saying, is there anything that I can do for you? Instead of, hey, let me do what I think is best for you. Right. So I don't know if that made sense.
Oh yeah, it did. I think it's a great story. Also, I think energetically, like she was like, I know what you need without even talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you do that? That's like impossible.
Yeah. Didn't bother to ask them, if I could do something for you, what would serve you the best? We don't ask those questions. We just do what we think is best. And then are dumbfounded when people are like, yeah, no, I don't want that. No, thank you. I don't. No.
Yeah. And she was also like, I will tell you how you should feel. Like, you should feel grateful for me putting this stuff here. And then it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I think this is also like, I will tell you how you should feel. It's also a pattern that we see, I would say, like in the news, like, this is how you should feel. And like, no, I'm the one who's like responsible for how I feel. So don't tell me how I feel.
Yes. And it's crazy. It's been indoctrinated with our children, and I see it all the time. And I try to tell, my kids, you are responsible for your own feelings. If you're feeling that somebody hurt your feelings, then you need to really look at that. And did they really hurt their feelings, or are you just allowing them to hurt your feelings? There's a huge difference. Like, don't give people that kind of power. They don't get to have that power over you. And that's really hard with the way that our schools are structured, and the way the world is structured. It's really hard to get out of that.
It's very, I would say, one-sided. It's not based on like healthy negotiation. It's just like, I know what you need. Here is the solution, but it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Also in this story, just, I guess, lastly, I wrote that there wasn't like a fair exchange. Like, we talk about equal value exchange and stuff like that. She was just like, oh, I'll dump the crap I don't need, and in return, they will like give me like this emotional energy of gratefulness. Like, that's not like a fair exchange of energy.
Yeah.
So, but I guess to wrap up with this service to self, service to others, I think like energetically, service to self would be about energy parasitism, like a bit like a win-lose situation. We might be on this planet together, but I don't want to share it with you. I want to make a deal that's just good for me. Like, I'm going to dump my problems to you or siphon you, but I don't see you as part of me. It's a bit like, in a sense, maybe a lack of love or fear-based. Yeah. And service to others, I would actually rename that to like service to unity instead of service to others. I think this is about win-win based on shared sense of oneness. Like, let's try to work something out for the benefit of all, make this a win-win situation. So I see you as an aspect of myself. It's more like love-based. Yeah. Also, the point that I think we're making across is that, like, respecting boundaries and saying no, we are saying no to like energy parasitism. So we're like pretty much being to the service, to unity, service to others in this way. But as always, I think it takes practice. It takes practice to learn and master this stuff. It's not like you read this in some book or some slides, and then you're like, okay, yeah, now I understand what this is about.
I'm better now. I'm fixed.
Yeah, yeah. But maybe it can give you some ideas about this. Maybe it will give you some ideas. Maybe I should say no sometimes, or something like this, just to give you some ideas. Like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have your boundaries respected. I mean, it's not okay. It's like very desirable to have a good boundaries and stuff. Also, I just want to mention about psychology, like if some people are having some tough time and stuff, when I was going through a dark period of my life, I wonder like who had the most powerful psychology. And I just like searched online for like concentration camp psychology. And these people came up, Viktor Frankl. I would recommend his book, Man's Search for Meaning. I think it's very good book. And also this person, Edith Eger, she has a bunch of interviews on YouTube. I think they're very good. And also this guy, Van der Kolk, his father was in a concentration camp, which influenced him. So I'm like, these psychologists, they know quite a lot about how to deal with tough times. So I think, like we're saying here, like you need the multidimensional component, but I think like some psychology really helps.
Yeah, having a nice base.
Also, I would say while I didn't explore it, I think this psychology of like orphans and adopted kids also feels like it's very powerful, because like these guys, like they really need to, in a sense, know what they're doing and stuff. Like there isn't like I don't know, like psychology of positivity or whatnot. Like so, this is really like heavy duty stuff. Wow. So now, yeah, beautiful. So now we're going to go to self-acceptance, and I think it's great. I think we're good on time. Like in my own experience, I'm figuring out that I don't need to change my thoughts or emotions. I just need to change my perceptions and beliefs, like how I see myself, what do I believe in, like core beliefs. And I'm finding that thoughts, emotions, and values change themselves. So I don't need to like work on my values and stuff, but just changing how I see the world and how I see myself. Like a lot of this stuff just like shifts automatically. And I think all of this started with self-acceptance.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Like that makes you want to like dance a jig. It's so exciting to accept yourself as you are in the moment, instead of brush things under the rug, hide it in shame, hide it in guilt, you know? It's just like, all right, here it is. I'm going to take the good with the bad. I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to stop letting the darkness eat me alive. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'd just like to point out, yeah, it's a process. It's not an overnight process. I'm also like not 100% complete with this process, but I am far enough that a whole lot of things just stop bothering me. And also I did a great progress with some addiction that we will soon find out. And I'm also noticing that I find it a whole lot easier to accept others. Like, for example, if others don't react the way you expect them to, like, for example, if somebody can do a favor for you, let's say, hey, can you do this for me? And they say like, no, instead of how dare you, you're like, okay, all good. Yeah, no worries. Like, I respect your decision. That's it. Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, about self-acceptance, these are like the slides where we ended about our last presentation. So self-acceptance, I think it's about viewing everything that exists as a valid expression of all that is, of which we are an individuated expression of. I think we talked about this this image a bit.
Yeah, I love this image.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, let's just go in. Yeah, so what really got me started on self-acceptance is, I guess, this stuff that I came across from Ermont. It's like everything is a valid expression of all that is. It exists, therefore it is valid. This really like made something click in me. It was like, it exists, therefore it is valid. And I will see how this impacted like my dealing with, let's say, pornography addiction, which made me realize this, like you cannot heal what you do not accept about yourself. It's like game over even before you start, if you try to heal something that you don't accept.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. When you say game over, it's sometimes I get shown things like video games, and I don't play video games, so I always find it ironic, but I see like the second you go to like the next level, all of a sudden the game over screen comes on and it bumps you back down to like level 2 or whatever, you know. So it's like, it thinks it's going to let you into the next level of the game, and then all of a sudden you just automatically get set back down there like, oh yeah, no, we changed our mind, you're not ready.
Oh yeah, so I have some more text here written. I think it's about, viewing everything as a valid expression of all that is. I think especially the bad, like the bad is just as valid an expression of all that is as is the good. Yeah. It exists, therefore it is valid. I think this is a very hard lesson. And this is basically what's helping me to really unlock, like, let's say, pornography addiction. It's like, before it was like super difficult to approach. Now it's just like smooth sailing. Like it's like night and day difference by just understanding or trying to understand one concept, and that is the self-acceptance.
Yes.
So also I am a valid expression of all that is, like all my past, all my emotions, all my trauma, all my addictions, all my thoughts, all my beliefs, everything about me is a valid expression of all that is. It exists, therefore it is valid. And we can believe anything we want. This is the essence of free will in my current understanding. Like this includes nonsensical beliefs. We can believe like smoking is good for health. We can totally have this belief, but it's not going to work out so well. So we can also believe that we can just accept the good and the bad shouldn't exist. Like I was a lot in this, like we can believe bad things shouldn't exist or happen. Like God shouldn't allow this to happen. Like I was a lot into this kind of belief system, and it didn't like work out so well for me until I started to change it.
Yeah, I think we spoke about in part one, why has God forsaken me? And that comes up a lot in these belief structures. And it goes right back to self-acceptance. Why have we forsaken ourselves? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we are denying parts of ourselves this way. Yeah. Because everything is a valid expression of all it is. And if we deny something, we are denying parts of ourselves. Yeah. So practical example, a bit about pornography addiction. I would highly recommend practically every adult human to take 16 minutes of their lives and take a look at this TED Talk by Gary Wilson, The Great Porn Experiment. Mm-hmm. I think he talks about a bit about neurology and stuff like that, and how this affects practically quite a lot of stuff. Yeah. Also, I like this guy, Philip Zimbardo. He made a talk, Why Boys Are Failing. I think it's 24 minutes. And I really like this site, Your Brain on Porn. It basically deals with the effects of pornography. It has quite a lot of like research on it, like scientific research. But just for start, I think here's some videos, and videos are like some a good starter to maybe take a look at this. And also I think for all the parents out there, maybe it's a good idea or not to maybe discuss some of this with your kids and stuff. But that is for, I think, for each to decide on their own, like how they feel about this stuff. But I think that is definitely something that is here.
Yeah, it's very here. My son is 15 years old, and by age 10, I know for a fact he was introduced to pornography through another boy, in his circle. And, it wasn't something at the time I wanted to, like, I'm like, I didn't really know what to say. And so I'd had my partner, speak to him about some of these things, but more and more, I'm not going to pretend like it's not there. It's in our kids' faces. It's actually like embedded. I'm interested in this. Why do boys fail thing you bring up? Because I think it has something to do with the etheric realms of SRA, or satanic ritual abuse, and how the underlining music, video games, cartoons, how these are embedded with pornographic signaling. As well as how it's connected into the astral realms. So anyway, it's just been, I've really learned a lot working with you and being able to see how this process works in the brain and in the light body. So it's kind of like you're a fun case study.
Oh, yeah.
So being able to look at all of this and just go, wow, this is,
it's pretty amazing engineering from my view, because like my background's in engineering, and I'm pretty impressed by this engineering. I'm like, why don't our Christic families like match this level of engineering? So, but it's cool. It's all, I guess it's all fun and games.
Until
So
someone
about
gets an eye poked out, right? Sorry.
yeah. So so I'm seeing here like they have some video made for kids ages 8 to 11, things you didn't know about porn. But I think maybe you can just also search online like some resources for parents. I think the big stuff is just to know that this stuff exists, and that's a good idea to get educated.
Yeah.
And how exactly and which resources you find, I think that's for your resonance to test. And yeah, this is like a very, I guess, famous site, probably the most famous on pornography, like Your Brain on Porn. So I think maybe a good start.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah, also speaking about multidimensional stuff, also nowadays, if some, let's say, it happens, I guess nowadays somewhat rarely, but if would some like pornography scene come up or something, I would just say like, okay, I call it the 3 C's. I would like revoke consent, revoke the contracts, and revoke the, not like the tube, the cord to it, and then just do like return to rightful owner of like soul essences and stuff like that. So that's.
I didn't watch, I did not watch pornography, but when you say pornography in a scene, this can be something in a movie. And it's really fascinating what it does to the body. And when I was clearing Dark Mother and working through sexual traumas from being a child, my body would respond to a visual like that. So, and it's very challenging to make that go away. And then once you can get the visuals out, then it's the sounds. So it's like there's audio inserts, visual inserts, all of these things that connect into your body that you have to completely disconnect. It's insane.
Oh yeah, and how much this tensegrity, like how everything's interconnected. Yes. And I think what we also looked at is that they're using this pretty, I would say, like incredible technology to just like recreate some of the etheric structures. Like you would like be aware of them, maybe do something about them, maybe remove them, but then they would get like recreated through this AI technology. Like I believe like the red cube stuff, it can like recreate some of the stuff that we have. So it's quite a challenge. But what you resist, so I've been dealing with this pornography, and what a lot of people in the porn recovery community try to do is like to deny, repress, suppress, kill pornographic thoughts and urges. But I'm seeing nowadays it's getting better. And this like pornography is bad and needs to be killed, like this war on porn. So like it shouldn't exist, kill the dragon, slay the beast mentality. We just like shifted, yeah, from talking about like how multidimensional this is to just like to principles. And I would say like in principles, you cannot heal what you do not accept. And like how I see how I'm dealing with this like shifted, I would say like 180 degrees by just accepting this as a valid expression of all that is. Like, yeah, pornography is bad, but this is a valid expression of all that is. Because when I try to suppress this stuff, like, oh, I shouldn't feel pornographic thoughts or whatnot, like there was so much resistance put up that it was like, it always like just like blows up in your face, really. So because this mentality goes against the structure of reality, that all is one. Everything is a valid expression of all it is. So if you try to slay something, you are in fact trying to slay parts of yourself. Energetically, it doesn't work. So also doing the removal of the etheric stuff, the implants, the contracts, the consent and whatnot, in my view, that cannot either happen or cannot effectively happen if you're like denying that pornography is bad and shouldn't exist. If you're like denying this part of yourself, like Alan's just the good guy, he doesn't watch pornography, that doesn't exist. With that kind of mentality, like it's like game over, you're not going to heal anything. So you can just like come back later when you're ready to accept this stuff. Exactly. So I would say, yeah, what you resist persists, but it also it amplifies. Yep. Like for me, it never like, I would say like digress to some strange, what's it called? Like strange genres of pornography. Like for some guys on porn recovery forums, I see like, oh, I'm so appalled by what I'm watching because it gets even extra amplified and even more bizarre. And then, and yeah,
that's
because
that's the beast of addiction. When it's tied into that addiction matrix and affects your brain that way, it's no different than, you know, drugs. You need something bigger.
oh yeah, no, this is a drug.
Stronger.
This is no different than drugs, because I think psychology is now starting to understand what is like behavior addictions and stuff, and this is just like also like compulsive eating and stuff. This is basically like a drug.
Yeah.
Also this, I also like this Jordan Peterson guy. I think in one interview he said like psychoanalysis 101, if you repress something, it comes back with a vengeance.
It does. Yeah.
And I think we also see here in our, let's say, societies and stuff, like what you repress, it's coming back with a vengeance. It comes like more in your face, like you don't want to see this, here it's even more in your face, until you either do something about it, or sadly, like if you don't want to face it. That's, I would say that's one of, that's pretty tragic, like because, again, you cannot heal what you do not accept. And I think humanity, we here have quite a lot to accept about our past, and to finally start to do healing, and not just like passing down the buck, as is the expression.
Yep, I agree. And it comes back with a vengeance in many different ways, with what looks like end up being like instant karmic patterning, or massive physical body pain on a daily basis. All kinds of things happen with a vengeance.
And also more for, I guess, like principles and mindset stuff, like this slay the dragon mentality. Like, for example, we see in movies all the time, like there is the Jedi supposed to be like the good guys, and the Sith, the bad guys. But these guys are like chopping each other's heads and limbs off. So that's not very Christic. So I would say, would Jesus or Buddha be a Jedi? So do you imagine like Jesus or Buddha holding a lightsaber and chopping people's heads and limbs off? But it's doing it for a good cause.
Yeah, so I don't. You know, I feel like it's I mean, I think that if I hadn't been integrated, I would say, of course, Jesus and Buddha, they have a lightsaber, and you know, they're slaying the dragon and doing that. But you know, the way that I see it is that they're using the force to integrate. So it's like playing soccer. If you want to trap the soccer ball coming at you, you allow the ball to fall into you, right? In order to bring the ball down, instead of going full force to hit it. So I imagine that if the Jedi and the Sith, which would be the polarity, would work together, you know, this is what this is what that balance is, that 0 point, right? That's what Luke Skywalker was trying to do in his trainings, is to be able to integrate both the light and the dark to create that union. I don't know, were you asking me? I was answering your question.
Oh, yeah, we're just talking, like discussing idea, because I would say that like in neutral like 0 point, like I would say like Jesus and Buddha, they were like neutral. I would say they weren't like positive or negative, but from that point of point of being and stuff, like you don't need to chop anyone's heads off and have a lightsaber, because you're like in a sense invincible, because you don't wish harm to anyone, so no harm can come to you. It's only when you enmesh myself like, oh, I want to do some bad things for a good cause, then this is where problems start to happen. So I would say that Jesus or Buddha would not be a Jedi, and also not a Sith. They would just be, I would say they would like be both at the same time and none at the same time, so something like that. So because also I see like in session, and also Also, yeah, also I think it's the same like in grid work. You're not like fighting anyone, you're just like asserting your territory. You come here like in the cosmic sovereign law, this is my right to be here, and you're trespassing, and then you're not like fighting them, because that is not our job here to fight, but it's then the job of the defender forces, and I would say it's the job of God to make this happen.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're there's an intrinsic truth, an intrinsic universal truth. And when you stand in that and abide by it, it's where all of the balance happens. I don't think there are words for it, but definitely see that when we do grid work or session work. So, and it's just like what you're talking about. Once you face these things and create acceptance of what is, then it's able to then integrate. So makes sense to me.
Yeah, I would just like to point, like I'm pointing out, like this harmlessness, because like what I'm seeing, like also in session work, we never get like, well, we did get interfered a little bit, but it's like taken care of, like the God takes care of the oppositional forces if you choose to remain harmless. So yeah. So I would say this, I want to talk about, this, like I call it the polarity anti-pattern, because I see it quite a lot, and it ties in with the Jedi. Like the Jedi are going to fight in order to bring peace. Like you cannot fight in order to bring peace in a way, because like I will do this negative action, but it's for a good cause. Because I think a negative action cannot bring about a positive result in the long run. I think this is energetic impossibility. Like a positive action will bring about positive results, and a negative action will bring about negative results. Like for examples, I have one example. Like my father like hid my cell phone from me one time, like to teach me a lesson in self-responsibility. While the intended cause might be positive, the action was negative and brought about a negative result, as it greatly upset my mother. And I was just thinking, okay, it's an old phone anyway, I will buy myself a new one, not an issue for me at all. So we can see here how a negative action, even if it's like for a good cause, doesn't like bring about positive results. And for the current scape, I would say like I just read in the news recently that some people torched some like shipping container that is a site for testing for something, and they just like torched it. So that was like a negative action, and this negative action cannot bring about positive result, no matter how justified one feels about it. So yeah. And I guess the last example would be also read in the news that some nurse changed some content of some vials. I think this is again a negative action. It was like infringing on free will choice of others. And this is not going to work no matter how justified one feels in the relative truth, because a negative action cannot bring about a positive result in the long run. It's energetic impossibility. So the end does not justify the means. This is, in my view, an absolute truth. And I've just linked together also this, our actions bring about our results. It's like a short summary of this on the Essential Glossary.
Beautiful. I will 100% agree. I will 100% agree with this. It's right on topic with what we're sharing and talking about. It makes me think about, when we stand in neutrality, the idea with integrating this is neutralizing it. And so it's, again, when the light hits the dark, it's when thoughts and actions are in alignment, these kinds of things. It's like when you put everything together, it neutralizes and creates the pattern that we're looking for. And so like with the current scape, instead of, there are different things we can do energetically or in the ley lines or whatever. And, going in, there's structures that are already built. And so if we can just go in and neutralize them, and because of how powerful humans really truly are, and when we stand in our sovereignty, the amount of will that is expressed is really capable of some very powerful integrations. So I'm still sometimes blown away by what we're capable of doing, and just by our thoughts and actions being in alignment. It's blows my mind, and I'm like, wow, that was so easy to do. But it's not at the same time. So
I think so easy looking back. Like when you look back, then it's like now it's easy, but walking the walk, then it was like quite challenging. Like I see like demanifesting this pornography addiction quite a challenge, but now it's like pretty much smooth sailing to integrate all of this stuff. But I want to mention, like we started at the beginning, like always use your like resonance and stuff and how it feels. And your higher self and God are the true authority about this stuff. Like if somebody feels like they need to do something, or maybe they have a contract or something, it's up to them. So yeah. So how does self-acceptance help? I think in my own experience with pornography addiction, just accepting it as a valid expression of all that is made it 80% of it just like fall off.
Yeah.
I think in 80% of the cases, no matter either pornography related loneliness, anger, sadness, just acknowledging it as a valid expression of all this is all it takes for it to get integrated. Like, for example, feeling like lonely, like I don't wish to feel lonely, let me call someone I don't really like, so just that I don't feel lonely. I'm denying myself to feel the emotion of loneliness. So we need to feel all emotions in order to heal. We cannot heal if we do not feel.
I agree.
And I think, you cannot kill anything, but you can integrate it in the wholeness of all that is. I've linked here a mirror exercise. Basically, you look in the mirror and say, I accept myself. While I really didn't do this exercise much, but I feel like maybe some of our listeners might resonate with it. Mm-hmm. Again, do what you feel resonance with.
I think Louise Hay has a book called Mirror Work, and it's extremely powerful. There are some people that really need those tasks and like a step-by-step verbalization as well as visualization in order to make that connection. Mirror work is very powerful for a lot of people.
Awesome. So yeah, energetic benefits of self-acceptance. Like I see like this denial, repression, running away from something, like force control, projecting denial, like he should haven't said, done that and stuff like this. This brings about compression and blockages of energy. Yeah. The block stuff will get amplified because what you resist persists and gets amplified because you need to see it. And with self-acceptance, we can create the environment to allow healing to take place. I think without this, we cannot heal anything. But obviously, we need more than just self-acceptance to fully heal. Like that 20% can take quite a while to heal. Yeah. But in my experience, this is the first step toward healing. Like by becoming more self-accepting, like I mentioned, I notice I become more accepting of others.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. I guess I have a confession to make. So in my past life, I think it was in 12th century, I was a knight, a Luciferian, and knights are seen as the good guys, like order of chivalry. But in reality, these guys are killers, like gangs of thugs. Yep. So I've done horrible things to people in the name of God as part of the Crusades. I believe it was like in the Crusades.
Yep. I would say the Crusades. That sounds about right. There's and
because
so
you helped me in the session to look into this. So you know what you're talking about.
I do.
I'm not like making this up for the listeners to
and it's
say a cool story.
Yeah, no, and it's just amazing how many lives we've actually participated. So many of us have participated in this type of genocide and bloodshed, and whether that be by contract or by choice. I don't think all contracts are by choice. So really, really fascinating. I love that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, beautiful. Because I feel like a lot of I guess maybe guys particular, like you see, I don't know, like the knights there and you're attracted to, let's say, swords and stuff. That's because, yeah, we've used these swords in our past lives for sure. Like we've pretty much butchered each other. So now I'm like saying that if I deny this aspect of myself, it cannot get healed.
Yeah.
If I would pretend that I was not a knight in the 12th century, like butchering people, then the possibility of me healing this would be like 0%.
Yep. And you know what's so interesting when we bring up the sword, because there are swords, you know, there are Christic swords and there are things like that. But energetically, when we look at it, I find that they're like vibrations or words. So like when we talk about God's word or the word of God that comes from within us, it's actually, the words are a sword. So I find that really fascinating as well, like our interpretations of what that is or what we need to quote unquote slay something. So interesting. I remember this thing, I keep thinking, because I'm seeing like in bold print, killer, Luciferian night, you know, these things. I remember one time, and I just want to share this, it was very distressful for me. I realized I had murdered somebody in a past life, and I could actually, I remember looking down at my hands, and my hands were covered in blood, and I could feel the warmth on my hands. And like for me to come to this realization and have this memory, I was like, oh my God. And it took me some time to like integrate, you know, this reality and these things that I had done. You know, there are blood on my hands, so to speak. You know, I don't think any of us are free from a lot of this stuff. Not that we didn't have really good intentions when we came here, but there are some things we had to go through and experience in order to overcome them and heal the planet. So,
yeah, I think, thank you for sharing this. I think we will circle back to this in the next slide. I just want to say that everything is a valid expression of God. Being a killer is a valid expression of all that is. It exists, therefore it is valid. But I would say that it's based on a concept of separation, therefore leads to consciousness contraction, and if left uncorrected, to like consciousness disintegration. So I think this is like a cool experience, but let's not do this again. Like let's rehabilitate.
Yeah.
So I think when I confess to this aspect, it doesn't get thrown in a jail and the key gets thrown away. This is not how I think rehabilitation works. I get to rehabilitate this aspect to be in alignment with the unity consciousness. It gets like a personalized rehabilitation plan that is the most benevolent and efficient. There is no malice to the rehabilitation from proper founder guardian groups, because we are dealing with the one self, God self expressing itself. And I really want to stress this out, that even if our society hasn't caught up on how to do justice, I think we can get the full benefits of rehabilitation in our inner world. We can already show kindness, acceptance, and be open to heal this aspect of ourselves.
That's very beautiful. It's, wow, that's very profound. Thank you for sharing that.
We each have pieces to offer to each other.
Yes, we do. We do. That's, you know, it brings me into so many other things that I've seen in the field. And it's, I remember saying to somebody one time, sometimes it's really hard to see others in their own traumas. And I remember one of the gals that had come to see me, I had mentioned to look through the eyes of her child in order to see her husband the way the child sees her husband, because sometimes, you know, we can only see through our own eyes that have been hurt, or our own heart that has been hurt. And, you know, to just kind of take a step back, and especially when we're connected to our children the way that we are, whether adopted or birthed from our own bodies, they're still soul family, and we still have those connections. And so, and I bring that up because adoption is very prevalent And there's adoption in my family as well. So, you know, being able to see through the eyes of a child really can help us soften our expression towards darkness, I think.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I think this is what spirituality is about. Yeah, dealing this stuff, and also with the multidimensional component of, like, let's say, past lives and influences like from other planets and the beings and all the energies.
Yeah, I agree.
I think because you cannot have free will if you cannot choose darkness. I think choosing darkness is a valid expression of all it is. It's a valid choice. But like as we see it, I think leads to consciousness contraction, and in extreme cases also like the consciousness disintegration. Like we have seen also, I think, in the fields, like some stuff just gets like, yeah, time out, game over. Yeah, it's like back to God.
Exactly. Yeah, when you go against the unity consciousness and the universal intrinsic truths, someone comes in pure unity consciousness, you just get dissolved. You go right back. There's no opportunity for you anymore. Like you had plenty of chance. We're at a point, our planet now is like, you've had plenty of chances to integrate, and you're still choosing. This. This is where they, you know, they've really been on top of enacting the evolutionary laws of edict. So like these guys are out. It's like we're done.
Yeah. And hopefully, yeah, some of this gets rehabilitated, because it's everything's part of the one self, God self.
Yeah.
I think the point here is we get to realign our beliefs to be in alignment to this unity consciousness that all is one, beliefs based on a sense of unity, not a sense of disconnection. I think we are rehabilitating the belief system. Yeah. Like that 12th century knight's belief system was based on a sense of disconnection, not a sense of unity.
Yeah, I agree.
And should I be denying the fact I was a knight in the 12th century, or try to hide this, run away from this, suppress it? If I do any of this, my physical self here and now could not get healed properly, because our past is encoded in our blood and cells. Yeah. So the work that I'm doing here and now by realigning my belief system is having an effect through space and time. I am repairing the DNA, and it all starts with acceptance. And I think that so many of the controllers are maybe so against doing this rehabilitation is because in their mind, the way rehabilitation work is the way they set up the justice system, which I would say is like an injustice system. Yeah. So maybe that is their, like, in their minds, their concept of justice, and they don't want that. They don't want that, what they created. So in a sense, they don't eat their own dog food. So, but I believe that, yeah, like in this unity consciousness, rehabilitation, there is no malice to it. And there is like very, I would say, individuated. And maybe this is how I would like to see justice in the future, like that each would have like an individuated rehabilitation plan, and there would be like no malice to it. Because I think this is a great learning opportunity, because you can read about bad people in books, but it's a whole lot different, like what you're sharing, like seeing like blood on your hands. And then I think it's a positive experience, like if you want them to like rehabilitate, to say, okay, well, I'm not going to like walk this path. It's like no, thank you. But in a sense, I think we needed to experience some of this stuff to really know how does it feel, because you can't really like learn this stuff from reading a book.
Exactly, it's kinetic.
Wow, yeah, this was pretty pretty deep, I would say.
I love it.
And now I just have some easy slides to finish stuff. Just like basic self-acceptance anti-pattern. I call this how to reject parts of ourselves and create energy blockages. Like, I should not feel X because Y. Like, this is pretty typical. Like, I should not feel resentful because spiritual people shouldn't feel resentment. Yeah. Like, this is not going to work. Or this one. God should not allow X to happen. Like God should not allow children to get cancer. How dare you, God, give cancer to children? Or she should not have said done that. Like, for example, she should never say that she doesn't love her kid.
Yeah.
Pretty deep, yeah, I guess, yeah. But because this all goes against the true nature of reality, that all is one. It exists, therefore it is valid. And you're just here, yeah, to then neutralize this. I really love how you said that. Like neutrality, it's about neutralizing stuff into like wholeness. Oh yeah, about this reminder, I just feel like acceptance has many layers. We can accept some people and some events, but not others. This is totally fine. I'm still like a work in progress. Like I'm not like 100% done with this self-acceptance, but I'm a whole lot better today that I was 1 year ago. So that's excellent.
I love
it. Takes time and patience. Thank you. Yeah. Wow. This was,
yeah, I'm just like, my heart is singing just to be here and just listening to you share. And this is massive. This is a massive shift and realization. And I'm I'm just so tickled with excitement and love for all of this right now. I'm like, wow. I'm wowed.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm having a great time. Just I wish to just, I guess, one of the last points I wish to get across is that acceptance and consent are fundamentally different.
Yeah.
Like, for example, consent, for example, gives permission for energetic parasites and people to siphon our life force. Mm-hmm. While we might or might not accept this as a valid expression of all that is, we could in fact be in denial about this process. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to accept my pornography addiction, but at the same time, there is a whole lot of like consent going on that my life force gets leached away. So also, yeah, I just, because about anger, lust, like we can just accept this as a valid expression of all that is. Let's say with anger, lust, we accept this as a valid expression of all this, and we can just like then observe it. Like I'm just going to observe what came up. But the moment, let's say we want to set up shop in anger, we want to maybe bathe in anger, feel more of it, or maybe, oh, lust feels great. I want more of lust. And then we're actually giving consent. We're giving consent to the spirit of lust and the spirit of anger, and we enmeshed before. Here, I think it's a bit of a finesse in understanding that, yeah, we should feel all our emotions, but we need to be careful about consent, because there is a big difference between just observing what came up for healing and then actually being like, oh, wow, some sexual fantasy, let me get some of those nice feelings there, but then that's like not how yeah, you're in consent. So just wanted to get this point across. Yeah, there is a huge difference between consent and acceptance.
Yep, huge difference.
And now, yeah, just to wrap things up, like you cannot heal what you do not accept about yourself, as everything is part of the one self, God self, and denying something is denying parts of yourself. And I found this as an uncredited Facebook share, like you're sexual, you're soulful, you're emotional, you're spiritual, you're insightful, you're magical, you're powerful, you're both light and dark, you're human. So don't deny any aspects of who you are. A healthy soul is a whole soul.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Oh.
Oh yeah, and now this is like the last slide, and I think, yeah, this image sums it up also beautiful. What self-acceptance is about, because what you resist persists, what you deny submits you, and what you accept transforms you. Yeah. This is accredited to Carl Jung, but I couldn't get the exact in which book was this published. So again, this might be just made up and attributed to him, but I think it beautifully sums up, because I feel like also like in 80% of the cases, our inner child just needs to be witnessed with love, compassion, and non-judgment. Yes. And when we do this stuff, we can do healing. So
I love this picture. And it's a lot how I see anger. Anger really is big. It flares up. It's really big and it wants to be heard. And what's underneath anger really ends up being the lack of self-acceptance. And so I think these tie in beautifully together. And with each emotion, oftentimes, if you see this picture is so very powerful, because if you see the emotion, you're seeing the emotion. And underneath that is going to be this innocence, and it's always going to go back to the child, especially in this lifetime, because you're in the now working through this. And we really need not go further to know what we need to work on than looking at our parents and seeing, what they've gone through and how we've reacted or not reacted to them. But taking the opportunity to sit with that emotion, whether you see it as your inner child or you just see it as a color or a word, and we sit there in neutrality, we sit in pure love, and we say, I am so sorry that I wasn't there for you then, but I'm here for you now, and I'm not going to leave. And you keep saying it until you finally see that child, or you finally feel that feeling soften. And you keep saying it until it keeps softening and softening. And then what happens is this beautiful alchemy of the emotion or the child or whatever begins to, I see it in colors that spin up through the light body and spin up through the spine and integrates through the heart to be able to become one with self, with the whole self, which then of course activates out into planetary, universal, galactic oneness as well. But sitting and just not giving up, saying, I'm not leaving this time, I'm not leaving this time, and don't leave. And it will integrate. It's a beautiful picture.
Wow, yeah, beautiful. I think beautiful presentation. I had like a wonderful time sharing this stuff.
Too. This was great. I'm so grateful for the work that you've done on yourself, because not only is it for you, but it's for me and it's for everybody. It's for the planet. It's for unity consciousness, and I'm really grateful. So thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
And thank you as well. Yeah, I'm so grateful for your facilitation. I'm having like a great time.
Good. Awesome. Wow.
All right.
So let's just before we wrap up, where can we find you, and can you share just one more little drop about when your book is going to be ready?
Oh yeah, I just started this website. It's super simple, spiritualityfortheimpatient.com. And I'll be writing about, I already started, to like write a book about this. And I guess it will be more like a booklet. I don't know. I think maybe December, sometimes that time, I think I expect it to have something ready.
Beautiful. I can't wait to read it. All right, my
friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sending
Beautiful.
You so much love.
Yeah, so much love to you and the listeners as well. Thank you for tuning in. I love your sharings. So beautiful.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.